Let's just jump into it, guys, as usual. Bitcoin, where we at? What's good? So I have had this range marked for months now. So this is the month of March. This is the high and low of March, and we've been trading within that range since then. So looking for reasons to short near the highs, looking for reasons to long near the lows. That's how we trade the range high to range low, and you assume it's a range until it's no longer a range. Now, of course, we all want this range to break up. We don't know whether or not this range is going to break up or not until it does. You're making an educated guess on whether or not this is going to be the time that it breaks out of this range, or does it deviate and come back in? We don't really know. But we can play the range until it's no longer a range, and we assume eventually when the breakout happens that the breakout is going to stick. So I personally, as you guys know, if you were around, I mean, you must be because you're here now, right? We got bullish down here, okay? We had the range deviation, we had the fair value gap, we had the H12 sweep right there. So that was a good long trigger. And then the target was up into this supply. So that was the long trigger, this flip, right? When we had this initial break up, I mentioned a second long opportunity at the mid-range here. So those are the two kind of last trade ideas that I executed correctly. I did take a short off of this sweep here, made a little bit of money. I took a short off of this sweep, got stopped out. In reality, when we were coming back here, right, I saw this H12 sweep. I posted this on Telegram. I'm like, okay, well, system says short. We had the sweep, right? Bang. Then we had the MSB, bang. We had the retest. So we had all the makings for a short setup there. What I got wrong is, as much as this is, yes, a bearish sweep, we're within this bullish 12-hour range. We're at mid-range support, and we're within demand, and we just had a bullish sweep here. So in hindsight, longs were the play here, and this sweep is not enough of a reason to have shorted. Yeah, technically shorting in the premium, but I think there was more reasons to be bullish here. So I got that wrong, right? And that's going to happen. You can do this a long time. You can tick all the boxes on your system. Sometimes it's a mechanical error, like you just make a mistake, which is what I believe I did here. And sometimes you're just flat out wrong, but that fucking happens, right? So I shorted this yesterday, tiny short. I wasn't super confident in it, and luckily only got stopped out for 1%. But the long idea made a lot more sense here. And if you zoom in, right, like if we zoom in here, so you have your support right at the midpoint, we've got our sweep. If you zoomed in, this was a primo setup basically. So whether or not you were getting long off of this breaker here, right? That stop is quite loose, but within this breaker, right? Within this move here, you can look for to be bullish in this PA and get a much tighter entry, right? So there was another breaker right here that flipped, another sweep here, another flip. There's a fair value gap right here from there to there that got punctured. So there was opportunities to get long within this area, and I just didn't. I dropped the ball on that one, and that's gonna fucking happen. You can't beat yourself up. I think part of it is I wanted to see a retest of this, and I saw these lows here as a pretty good, liquidity spot. And I was like, okay, this seems to make sense to me. We have the big pump, big leg up. We get a decent retrace, right? We wipe out all of these lows. We retest that original breaker there, the 12-hour breaker block. And then this would be the long stop either here or really conservative down there and target like 80K. And really, it's not like that crazy of a pullback. If you pull your fib, we're talking right into kind of the OTE, the sweet spot here. Right? So that was kind of what I was looking for. It still could happen, right? So we are trading towards the range highs now. So longing right here on Bitcoin to me it doesn't make as much sense. I think there's other coins that are lagging this move that are going to offer you a better opportunity on the long side. And we still could pull back to here and then go up. So I'm not completely ruling this out, but I thought perhaps, some of the struggles we were having here might have been the catalyst to get us in here. And it just didn't happen. It's trading higher. So it is what it is. So we got to adapt. If you get it wrong, if your analysis doesn't play out, guess what? Fucking delete your lines, buddy. Drop some fucking new ones, draw some new fucking boxes on the chart and try again. So looking at Bitcoin, right? Still in a range. I know it's back above 70K, so we're all fucking super hyped, as we should be. We've really struggled kind of at this level, right, which is the previous all-time high. Every time we've gotten up there, above there, we've rejected back down. Reject, 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 and now we're back up again. So eventually, it's going to break, and I do think that this breaks to the upside. The question is just from where? So Personally, I would like to see perhaps another move up and then a sharper correction for me to get long on Bitcoin specifically. But I'm going to assume that this is a range until it's proven otherwise. So when we have the deviation at the low, my next target becomes the high. Like, it's just that simple, right? So whether or not we go there in a straight line or we pull back first, I believe that after running this low, we have a very strong likelihood of now tagging the high. Perfect example of this is looking at like the dollar. Exact same setup here. Took out the low. This happened to do it in fucking like 13 straight green candles, went to the high. Now, what would be super bullish, right? Took out the low, went to the high. What would be super bullish for crypto is if this went back down to the low. That would be unbelievably bullish for crypto. So I'm looking at Bitcoin here and I'm thinking most likely we're going to test this range high. It's just a question of, can I get myself in a long trade, up into that level, and where does that play out from? So I'm not going to chase a setup here. I think the long setup was like either yesterday or a few days ago on this move here. Like, I think this is when you wanted to be longing. I think longing here. Personally, I don't know how I get in that trade. Where's my stop go? Things like that. But we're still bullish overall. Remember, we bought these range lows. So I'm not concerned if we trade another $5,000 to $6,000 higher and I can't get additional leverage exposure on Bitcoin, because you can get it on altcoins. There's a lot of altcoins that I think look really fucking bullish, including Ethereum, including Solana. So if there is going to be more upside overall across the market, I think there's lots of opportunities here, and you don't need to force it on something where you miss the move, right? If you miss the move, fucking move on. Find another trade. Ansem says Sol BTC to infinity. Let's take a look. Like, I don't see how this doesn't break up, most likely. I think after running these lows here, once this level breaks, this probably fucking rips. Let's look at Sol ETH while we're at it. Oh, look at my analysis here. That's going well. Negative prices, baby. This looks very similar, to be honest with you. You've got clear SR level, clear breaker here. So if, as long as it holds there, I highly doubt that triple top holds. And ETH BTC, I think this is ready to go again here. Took out the highs, came, retested demand. I think this is probably ready to rip. Maybe we have another drop down to here, but I'm thinking that this price leg is just getting going. I do think there's going to be tons of opportunity to make money this summer. Just because like maybe the majors don't fucking go bananas, it doesn't mean other stuff is not going to trade like crazy. That being said, I think the best case scenario for crypto right now is not Ethereum all-time high. It's not Solana all-time high. It's not meme coin all-time highs. It's Bitcoin all-time highs. The best thing to bring more money, more attention to the space, which will then proliferate through to all the other fucking tokens, is going to be BTC going to all-time high. This is my personal opinion, but I don't think regular people, at least in my experience, are watching a lot of the coins that we are paying attention to every day. I do know if Bitcoin makes an all-time high, I'll get messages from my parents, from my friends who are tech savvy but haven't bought crypto since last cycle, and they'll be like, oh, Bitcoin's at all-time high. Maybe I should check it out again. So I generally think for the next crazy leg where we have everything going up like nuts, you know what I mean? Like this kind of price leg where the whole market was just screaming upwards like the start of the year. For that to happen, I think Bitcoin making a new all-time high is the best case scenario. You get Bitcoin to put in a crazy upside candle. It goes into the 80Ks. Maybe it tags 90K. Ethereum, Solana, all the fucking meme coins, everything reprices way fucking higher. And you get that attention from the news is talking about Bitcoin again. We're going to have the debates coming up in the fall for the presidential election. They're going to be talking about Bitcoin. All of that fucking stuff begins. The original domino to fall is Bitcoin making new highs. Now, Bitcoin going sideways and other majors going sideways as well generally can be quite bullish for altcoins and smaller coins and meme coins and things like that. So there's something to be said for that as well. But just kind of from a high level, I do think we probably test this and maybe we make a marginal higher high. I don't really know, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get this pattern here play out on Bitcoin. Take out the range low, then take out the range high. So in terms of a day trade on Bitcoin, I don't have one. The only way I would long Bitcoin is if we get a significant market structure shift above here, right? So if we put in a huge candle and then I get a fresh range that I can then look to long a retrace on, sure. Otherwise, I need to see a pullback or I need to see one of these highs get faded super hard, right? So if we spike up, close back below, I'd probably take a short. Confluent with that, right? The dollar, we've mapped this out ages ago, right? Came to the range high, came into supply, it's rejecting. And equities, right? Looking pretty fucking good still. I mean, is anything other than Nvidia going up? Who fucking cares? Because the market as a whole is going up. So we'll see. If this makes new highs again and the dollar is trading lower, this all bodes very well for higher prices in crypto. But I would love to long Bitcoin below 66,000. I don't know if I'm going to get that opportunity, but if I do, I am absolutely taking longs in this area because I think that's, going to be a gift because it will trade to 80K plus next. So Ethereum, we've got the ETF. Right. So reason I think some people are disappointed in Ethereum right now is like, why is it not going up? Bitcoin's going up, but ETH BTC traded down, Bitcoin traded up, Ethereum's just going sideways. You got to remember, just 2 weeks ago, we added the entire market cap of Solana to Ethereum in like a day. So we had a massive move. And I think that there's only so much money in the system right now. This wasn't just going to do back-to-back 25% moves. You have to remember, the more expensive these assets get, the higher prices go, the more money it takes to pump them. That's why on Bitcoin, for example, you see the diminishing returns between the cycles. So like, yeah, this chart up and to the right, of course, it's up and to the right. It's like the stock market. But the size of each of these waves to the upside is decreasing. So you see the diminishing returns. The returns in this cycle were bigger than this cycle, which were bigger than this cycle, which are going to be bigger in this cycle. So Bitcoin could go to some crazy, multiple, like from the lows here at 15K. Let's say Bitcoin goes to, I don't know, I think Bitcoin going to 200,000 is pretty nuts, right? That's 1,200%. But last cycle, Bitcoin did 2,000%. The cycle before that, Bitcoin did over like 10,000%. So we're seeing these diminishing returns, right? And the assets become more expensive to pump. It's that simple. We'll see though. But I think Ethereum, right? If we get news, because I think the last news, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I haven't been paying enough attention, but the last news was that they're delaying it. But basically everything is pointing to they're absolutely going to approve this thing. Just a matter of when. So if that's the case, then aren't we just going to trade it the same as we traded the Bitcoin one? We probably are bullish into the event, and then we probably get some sort of sell the news dip, right? So bullish into the event. There's the event, retrace, and then back to the uptrend. But I do think that we are going to get a move up here, more likely than a move down on Ethereum. So I'm looking at ETH, and I have a level here that I would love to long, similar to, 64K on Bitcoin. I don't know if I'll get it, but I would love to long anywhere below this low and below this low. So if we get any sort of correction here this week, I'm aping spot and leverage below 3,700. Will we get that? I don't know. We came pretty damn close just the other day. We traded down at 3,700 on the nose. Here we traded down at 3,730. So maybe this is just going to go up, but I don't have a long setup within this kind of small range here. Now, if you go to a lower time frame, sure, there's like probably a setup here on maybe the H4. So we've swept out that low. So you could argue that if we now break above this high here, I think that's probably a long on Ethereum with your stop there. So that could be like a day trade. But in terms of like a higher time frame trade, I would love to see a wipeout into here. I don't know if I'll get it. If I do, I'm prepared. If I don't really care. So I've seen an interesting thought on Solana from some people with regard to it not performing as well as some people might think. You have Ansem, the number one Sol bull in the space. His target is Sol to 1,000. We have someone like Pentoshi who thinks Sol might only go to like $400. Okay, so for Sol to go to $1,000 from here, that is a massive price appreciation on an asset that's already done a 10x. So and Blunts exactly is another one. So Sol bottomed out here at $7, so it's already up 2,500% this cycle. For it to go to 1,000, it'd be doing a 12,000% gain in a coin that is not in its first cycle. So I'm more in the camp that I don't think that it goes to 1,000. I do think it probably makes a new all-time high though, and I think right now it has very clear kind of resistance here that it's got to get above, right? So Sol has outperformed a lot of the market. So this is Solana when you base it on its market cap. So it's the same chart, but when it's adjusted for market cap, it's actually already made an all-time high versus its market cap. And now there's going to be some people who think that this analysis is pointless, some people who think it's relevant. I'm not really here to tell you which one's correct. I don't really know. My opinion is simply that a coin that's already existed in the the previous cycle. Coin as big as Solana, with as much stuff going on in Solana, I'd be surprised if it didn't make a new all-time high in US dollars. Not relative to market cap, but in US dollars. I'd be surprised. That being said, there's an argument to be made that, you know, it's potentially going to underperform Ethereum for the next little bit if the Ethereum ETF goes well, and there's a lot of attention there. From a bullish setup perspective, I still think Sol is a good looking chart, and I still think that this trades higher. You have very clear resistance here, but this looks like a low that's been formed here. That looks like a low. So assuming that this holds, I think you assume that we are going to take out this high next. So if the market's going to go up, if Bitcoin's going to trade to 73, 74K, I don't see why Solana's not trading back towards 200. It could still be in that resistance area and then reject, but a move from here to 200 is a significant move. You know, I think the concern would be any sort of weakness seen into any of these highs into that larger resistance zone. That might be an opportunity to short this. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. I would like to buy, my dream scenario here is 64K Bitcoin, 3650, maybe even 3600 ETH, and 150 Sol. That would be my dream scenario for my next round of buying in terms of like spot and long-term swings. Do I know if we're going to get there or not? No. Right now, everything is trading higher. So unless there's a reason given to me that these markets might turn around, I'm going to assume everything trades higher from here. So 74K Bitcoin, 4K Ethereum is pretty fucking straightforward, and Sol towards 200. Those would be the next upside targets, unless something happens. What would something happening be? Bitcoin rejecting, right, from one of these highs and pulling back hard, then maybe we get those moves, right? So if Bitcoin does come down, like let's say we do this is where I'd long Bitcoin, and I think relatively Ethereum and Sol would be at those levels that I had mentioned. But again, we don't have to do that. Like right now, it looks good. So I'm assuming that Bitcoin is likely trading to here. So if I can get some sort of intraday setup and target 74K, I'll potentially take it, but I'm prepared for lower if we are so lucky, right? And now that we're at 70K, people are going to think this is impossible. So if we do get a shakeout, you want to be prepared and know that this is an area where you want to be looking to buy. At least I will be. If I have 150K, do you think I can turn it into a mil this cycle? Yeah, you can probably turn in 10 mil, 100 mil even. Fuck it, dude. Just take that leverage all the way to the right. So when you're on 100x leverage, you can make 100x the money. They don't teach you that in your trading class. You take that leverage slider all the way to the right, that 150K, it's now $15 million. It's pretty cool. See, if you would have used 10x leverage, you would only have 1.5 mil. But why limit yourself? 100x, that 150K, now you're in a $15 million position. All you need it to do is go up 10%. You've now made $1.5 million. That's the best financial advice you're ever gonna get. What happened to Berkshire Hathaway? Warren Buffett lost 99% of his money, dude. What a fucking loser, dude. Now, he still got $1 billion, but he had like 100 something. And now he's fucked. I think it's safe to say that it's over for Warren Buffett. When are Monday's range plays valid? After Monday. Do you think 50K to low six figs is possible from this point with just spot? Well, here's the beautiful thing about low six figs. Low six figures is $100,000 and $1. 99% of my DMs are people just saying, give me free shit. Now, if you want to give me some free shit, then I might be interested. Maine, have you heard of real world assets? You mean like my fucking house? Now I can whack this thing, whack it right off, nothing will happen. That's not what I meant to say. I can hit. I'm just gonna move on.